Rappers and music producers, it's Curtis King at CurtisKingBeats.com asking you the question, what would be more amazing than to rap with your favorite rapper or to collab produce with your favorite producer? Doing it every day. I'm gonna show you how you can do that every day. Let's talk about it. Rappers and music producers, Curtis King, what kind of voodoo are you getting ready to present to us in your Lakers jersey? Hey. Well, here comes Curtis King again with something that involves you using your imagination.
Imagination.
Now, I'm not here to try to be Mr. Rogers and tell you it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to show you something that was presented to me at a very young age by someone that I started rapping with. It's my brother. If you read my book, you know it's my brother Keaton. He went by Donnie, but my brother Keaton, he was very wise beyond his years, and he was only a few years older than me, but he's very wise beyond his years. And one of the things he used to do whenever I would be in the studio producing a beat, or whenever I'd be rapping and I couldn't get a take down, I was on the 14th take and I was like, whenever I would do multiple takes, he would look at me and say, first of all, why are you saying, oh? Second of all, what would you do in this studio session if Jay-Z was sitting in the back of the room? What would you do? Would you be doing the same thing you're doing right now? And I used to look at him like, but Jay-Z ain't in here. He said, stop worrying about the details. You the one messing up on takes. Let me ask you a question again. What would you do if Jay-Z was in the room? And so I sat there in front of the microphone and I was like, if Jay-Z was in the room right now, I don't think I'd be doing that. I don't think that I would be doing certain things. Why? Because Jay-Z's a very influential person and I would want to put my best professional foot forward. And then an epiphany came to me. Why don't I do that on a daily basis? Why don't I start to, at least for the beginning part, because at that time I wasn't sort of the self-starter that I am today. What if for just some short motivation, I imagine that I'm in a studio session with the people that I have been inspired by, with the people that I, would, if I was in a studio session, they would bring out the absolute best out of me. Why don't I pretend they're here right now? Why don't, when I'm making a beat and I'm putting some kicks and snares together, and instead of wanting to toss my laptop across the room, instead of wanting to put my laptop in the middle of the street and drive over it inside of my car and go back and forth, back and forth, why don't I pretend that Jay Dilla's standing right over my shoulder? Why not pretend that I'm making this beat and he's like, oh, that's tight, that's hard. That's hard. Hey, you should add a little bit, take it off the grid though. It's too much on the grid. What kind of conversations would go into my mind? Now, I will be reintroduced to this concept whenever I would listen to like a Ty Lopez, who always talks about the beauty of reading books and how the best way to gain mentors and be around some of the most amazing mentors of brains and minds of our time is to read autobiographies and read the reason why these amazing individuals did the things that they did. Read the reasons why these people went the route that they went and said no to the things they said no to. That is great for mentorship. Why is that not the same thing we can do for ourselves as rappers and music producers in studio sessions? So I started to take that on. And let me tell you what happened. It worked for a good 5 to 6 or 7 years for me, and it brought out the absolute best of me, especially times when it was just me in front of my laptop, or just me in front of a notepad, or just me trying to figure out, man, I need some inspiration. I would just sit there and try to simulate what would it be like if I was sitting across the room from somebody that I see as highly influential in the field right now that I am trying to pursue. I would be approaching things a lot differently, right? My energy would be different. And most times when we're feeling stagnant, when we're feeling stuck, when we're feeling like I don't know where to go from here, it's probably because our energy and our physical levels are very stagnant along with it. What we're doing physically is going to represent itself in our art. It's going to represent ourselves in the tone of our voice, how fast we're speaking, how slow we're speaking. If I wasn't excited about what I'm talking about, I'd probably talk like this. But I'm not. I'm speaking very excitedly and very fast because I enjoy what I am doing. And I always try to tell myself, Tony Robbins is in the corner of this room right now. Would he be smiling? Boy, you got this, man. You better kid. Well, he more tall, so I'll be. You mean you better? Or would he be looking at me like, You might want to do another take of that one. I don't know about that one, man. I always think about if Les Brown was standing right here, looking through the hallway like, boy, you better go on and get him. I think about that, and that gives me so much energy to this day. I don't need to do it as much now because I have simulated so many times that I realized it wasn't just the image of these people standing in the room with me that inspired the best out of me. It was me. It was me pushing myself further. It was me knowing that I had the ability, I had the space, I had the room to create more, create better. There is no best. I had somebody slap me in the face with that. I no longer say I did my best. No, I didn't do my best. There is no best. You could never, listen to me. I'm gonna grab you by the shoulders. Listen to me. You could never, my friends, do your best. It's impossible because it's always better to do from there. There's always ways that you could have planned it out a little bit more. You could have been a little bit faster here. You could have been a little bit more strategic here. I don't care if you're an Olympic sprinter, Olympic swimmer, you could always do better. Well, until your physicality starts to decrease, and then even then, you still could have done better a year before in tip-top shape. But that's my point. So something I want you to do, especially as you start to create your art, you don't have to do this out loud, but it'll be fun if you can get other people involved because then they can start sparking some more things in your imagination. But every time that you're getting ready to sit down, and if you feel like you're getting into a drought, first of all, physically move yourself around. You gotta shake it out. Sometimes you gotta dance. Sometimes you gotta do a little of that. But for the most part, I want you to start imagining that every corner of the room has somebody else that you find highly influential. I don't care if they're dead or alive. Imagine they're there. You've watched enough interviews, you've watched enough music videos, you've watched enough behind the beat videos to know their mannerisms. And your mind, you are brilliant enough to simulate what they would be like in an environment with you. So whether you make reggae and you imagine Bob Marley just sitting over there in the corner, I like that, man. I like that. He don't really talk like that, but you know what I'm talking about. Do what you gotta do to inspire these ideas out of you. Inspire the best out of you. Sometimes we need a little bit of artificial push just to get us through, right? We all sometimes need a little bit of Red Bull to give us that boost. But what you're gonna find out is the real foundation of that artificial imagination trick and tactic is that you can always bring better out of you. You can always get more. There is no best you. You can always get out more. In this life, you will not be full of life until you decide to live life to its fullest. Curtis King at CurtisKingBeats.com. Hey. Please subscribe to the channel below, Curtis King at CurtisKingBeats.com.